So we're trying to rehab the ankle, right? We have an ankle sprain history, so we have that phrase, train the sprain. So we basically need to recreate a sprain and expose the tissue that was once damaged. You have been doing stretches and isometrics for quite a bit now, right? Other ankle work. You've been rehabbing your ankle. We're gonna take this one step further and learn to find different lines of tissue, and you kind of have to self-assess what you need, and I'm gonna walk you through that, right? So right now we have you in an inversion stretch, right? You can put some of your weight through the pole, you can put some of your weight through this foot, but I want there to be a fair amount of weight displaced to this right hip. Would you say you have an adequate stretch on this right ankle?
Oh yeah.
Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you say that it is?
Like a 7.
It's like a 7, okay. I want you to breathe into that. So right now we are lengthening lateral ankle tissue that's on the outside of your ankle through here. This is usually the tissue that gets injured when someone has an ankle sprain, and we are trying to basically expose that tissue again and rebuild capacity there. I have you on a timer. Right now we have yourself where your knee is stacked over your ankle. What I'm gonna ask you to do is while you're holding onto the pole, I want you to slowly bend your knee just a little bit and kind of search and load different positions within inversion, right? So this is like where people stretch, but they don't search for the stretch, right? So right now, if I asked you to maybe push your knee forward, so you notice, let's pause there and talk about that, how you are inverted and dorsiflexed. You see how you're like relatively dorsiflexed. You can't get full dorsiflexion because there isn't that range available. But as you drive the knee forward in inversion, you feel yourself lengthening that tissue in a different way, correct?
Yeah.
Are you getting any pinching?
No, just I could feel a really deep stretch right
Yeah,
now.
and it's different than what you're used to, right? And so basically you've been stretching just standard inversion, a standing inversion stretch. And now I'm asking you to drive the knee a little bit forward, and that kind of changes the way you're displacing your body weight over the ankle. And that's my only goal right now, is to show you that there's more to the inversion stretch than just simply standing upright and stretching it, right? We need to elaborate on it. We need to add kind of like layers of what's being trained in a sense, right? So what I want you to do is take a really big deep breath there and see, can you get a tad further? And if you feel like you're getting into like a dangerous territory, back out of it, right? Don't go so deep. It's kind of on you to feel that out. I can't feel that for you. So you're searching and loading a different line of tissue on this lateral ankle. Go ahead and hold that. Beautiful. Keep holding that position. You're on a timer right now. You are at the 90-second mark. What I am gonna ask is, right here now, think about tilting your ankle into the block, but keep that knee forward. You went to the backside now.
Yeah.
Does it feel like a healthy contraction?
Yeah.
You like the sensation,
Yeah.
right? And that's not right or wrong, right? There is not one way to do this. And that's what I'm trying to get across to you, because I've shown you this stretch before, I've shown you this contraction before. I'm trying to show you how you can kind of take more ownership and navigate it, right? So I have you in dorsiflexion and inversion, and basically what you're trying to do is evert, right? You're trying to get out of this position. So if I had my hand here and I'm trying to pick your foot up off of the block, I can't pick you up, and you feel this stretched corner of your ankle now contracting. Is that right? Now relax it, get deeper into inversion and dorsiflexion. So you're getting deeper into that stretch. Beautiful. Move your left foot a tad. Yeah, there we go. Beautiful. Okay, and the block is there as feedback for you. You had your other foot kind of in line with your foot. We've done that before, right, as a way to kind of contract against. I have the block there because I'm letting you go into kind of different positions, right? It kind of gives you a little bit more freedom. So one more time, take a really big deep breath there. And see, can I get a little bit deeper into that stretch? So you spent time lengthening this lateral tissue, you spent time contracting it. You have a stretch again on that lateral ankle, right? Just try to relax there. I have you on a timer here for another 15 seconds or so, and then I'm gonna ask you to contract it again. And when you contract it again, I want you to see, can you maintain the position you're in? So ready, set, begin the contraction. So visually, nothing really changed, right? But internally, you're trying to tilt the ankle the other direction, and this stretched tissue is now squeezing again, yeah? Can you squeeze it any harder, but don't lose the knee being forward. You can see how your body wants to kind of come out of dorsiflexion, and I'm trying to encourage you to push into the path of most resistance, right? You can see least resistance is to go from here to here. That's a whole lot easier on your foot, on your ankle. So maintain that position. Keep trying to tilt the ankle. And now relax, and let's have you tilt the ankle deeper into inversion. Try to get further, hold, and think about trying to pick your ankle up even further. Are you able to get any squeeze on the inside of your ankle?
Yeah.
Good. Hold that squeeze. Just try to ramp up that inversion. And what I want you to do now is use that pole as balance. Pick your foot up and hold inversion like that. Don't lose it. Don't lose it. Hold. And so now you felt all this outer tissue stretching, right? The lateral ankle tissue. Do you now feel medial ankle tissue contracting?
Yeah.
Squeeze that as hard as you can. I want you thinking about getting all of this medial ankle tissue to drive ankle inversion. If you feel yourself cramping, if you feel arch stuff, just try to breathe through it. See if you can squeeze harder. And what I want you to do now is tilt your ankle to me and go into eversion. And kind of work through that stiffness. You see how there's a tendency to move at the hip? Try not to move the hip. Invert again, go the other direction. Hold, find medial ankle tissue again. You're able to recreate that contraction. Now that you've been learning to open up your ankle, you have to learn to squeeze your ankle. The same way you squeeze your bicep, you squeeze your tricep, squeeze the medial ankle. Come to me now, squeeze that lateral ankle. All the way out now, all the way to eversion. All the way to eversion. Hold that. You see how you're starting to shake a little bit? That's kind of like new territory. That's what we want. Invert again. Squeeze that medial ankle. Hold. Hold. Contract. Give me one more. Back to me. And then I'll give you the opportunity to do the other ankle and kind of compare and contrast them. Awesome. Invert all the way over again and squeeze. Beautiful. Kind of makes sense? Yeah. So we have that cue to train the sprain, and we're always doing it where you're stacking hip, knee over ankle. And that's like a good tool. That's a really good way. Like if someone has never trained the sprain before, I would tell them just get used to doing this, right? Spend time in it. You've been doing that. You've built capacity there. But then we can add more layers to it where we're inverted, and I'm adding a little bit of dorsiflexion there. And that changed the stretch that you got on your outer ankle quite a bit. And it's kind of on you to find what needs attention. You've been training one line of tissue for several weeks. Let's change the line of tissue that you're training. I want you to do the other ankle, and then we're gonna go to eversion next. All right, so we have you in eversion right now, right? There's a couple different ways to do it. This is just one base position. We started by spending time in inversion and contracting lateral ankle tissue, right? We are now gonna focus on contracting medial ankle tissue, which is kind of the opposite of a sprain. I have a slant board here to put you in kind of relative eversion. General rule of thumb would be to drive your knee over your little toes. And that gives you a stretch on this medial ankle, yeah? No pinching in the front though. No. Okay, hang out there, breathe into it. You are free to leverage your body weight and kind of use your body weight to push the knee forward. And so now you're essentially doing a loaded stretch, but it's a static stretch. There's no contraction going on. I have you on a timer. Let's spend 45 seconds there, and then we will talk about adding a contraction to it. Depending on how much eversion you have the freedom to bring this slant board up. Although if you go too far up, you may get a pinch on the outside rather than a stretch on the inside back. So lift within your means, stretch within your means, right? Just like how there's ego lifting, just because someone picks up 300 pounds off the floor on a deadlift, doesn't mean they should be lifting 300 pounds off the floor. Just because you could get yourself up on this higher slant board doesn't mean you always should. So if you decide to do this on your own, I have you on the lowest setting. Start there for today. If you want to try higher in the future, you can try higher. But if you feel like that's a good entry point for you, stick with it. And if someone watching the video felt pinching in the front of their hip, then we would do this standing, like holding on to something, and you just do it with your knee straight rather than your knee bent. So the same way we added a contraction for inversion, I need you to make sure that you are keeping your positioning completely still, because if you come out of this range, then what good is the contraction, right? So with the heel still pressed down, the knee is over the toe. What I want you to do is start driving the outside of your foot down. So you're in eversion and you're trying to invert, right? But you can't because the slant board is blocking you. And if I went ahead and had fingers under your outer foot, I wouldn't be able to pry your foot up because there's downward pressure, right? So if my pen's here, think about squeezing my pen with your little toe, squeeze my pen with your outer arch, squeeze my pen with your outer heel. And we should feel this stretched tissue, lateral or medial ankle, backside ankle, right? A combination of both, contracting, tensing. You're doing an isometric contraction in a stretch. This is the way we build strength in this range of motion. You build trust with your ankle. Keep squeezing. I got you here for another, let's say 10, 9, 8. See if you can push a little bit harder. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Don't move anything though, but relax. So visually, nothing changed, right? Like someone walked past us, nothing changed externally, but internally, there's no more tension. Do the reverse now. So now think about trying to pick the outside of the ankle up. Do you feel the tension transfer from this medial stuff to the outside? Yeah? So now squeeze that outside ankle harder. So I have you in this everted position. You initially squeezed stretched tissue, and now you're squeezing shortened tissue. And for those watching, it doesn't look like it, but he's trying to pick his outer foot up, and he's essentially trying to get deeper into eversion. Even though he can't move, he's contracting outer ankle tissue as an isometric. Hold that squeeze. Let's say 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax. We're going to do one more round. But now what I want you to try is see, can you get a tad further? You see what we did there? Yeah. And now the heel is still down. You feel the stretch beginning again, right, on the inner ankle, backside ankle. You have no pinching on the outside. If you got pinching on the outside, I would tell you not to go so deep, and I would tell you to stretch inversion even more, right? If you get a pinch on the outside, we gotta lengthen the outer ankle, right? But you don't, so we're good. Hang out there, 30 more seconds of stretching. I'll let you contract one more time. We'll do some ankle cars, move on. Breathe. See if you can breathe into that stretch. That's kind of an underrated thing too, right? It's very easy to get antsy. It's very easy to let that fight or flight kind of kick in. You got 10 seconds here, and then I'll let you contract again. Just try to relax your body as much as you can. Try to breathe into that space. You got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now again, don't move because I got you deeper than the first round, right? I need you to be true to that end range. And if you had a better setup here, you could hold on to the box, you could hold on to whatever you need, but make sure you're staying in this degree of eversion. One more time. Pick up the outer inner ankle. Yep, you're picking up the inner ankle and you're pushing the outer ankle down. This stretch should now feel like a contraction, right? We just static stretched, and now you're tensing and doing an isometric in this area while you're in eversion. So keep squeezing. I'm gonna give you 30 seconds just to kind of wring out the towel. If you feel like you're losing it, don't squeeze so hard, right? If you over squeeze, you might lose the contraction. So work within your means. Again, if I have my hands here, I'm trying to pick you up, and there's tension through the outer foot. Your hip's still good, and you feel the ankle tensing here. You got another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reverse rail, evert further, push the inner ankle down and the outer ankle up. Once again, you feel the tension transfer to the opposing side of the joint, right? And that's what we're doing in a stretch. You're squeezing stretched tissue through here, and now you're squeezing shortened tissue through here. Try to keep all the tension in your ankle. If you feel some tension going to the hip, learn to dislocate it, right? Funnel it to the ankle. It's very easy to let the hip do a lot of work. When you're in this deep of hip flexion, it's very easy to, instead of tense from here, you start tensing from the hip. So see if you can maintain it in the right area, funnel it to the ankle. Let's hold that for another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's get you out of that. If it's a little tender, we're gonna go through some ankle cars. It's all good. Let's have you sit up on here, hang the foot off the box. Move that guy around, get some circulation there. Keep the hip still, keep the leg still. Just get some good circulation, expose that tissue, expose that neurology. Feel outer ankle, feel the calf, feel medial ankle, feel anterior ankle, the tib, and reverse. Good. Try to clean up that glitching. If you feel the glitching, try to like own that space, improve that neurology. Let's go counterclockwise as well. Get a couple rounds of that too. We'll do the other ankle, and then we're gonna go over variations of ankle cars. All right?
I feel like a baby giraffe right now.
Oh, it's hard, right? It's like stiff, I don't wanna move at all, right? Like you would stumble if you got up.
Yeah.
All right, so for the ankle car, we normally just tell people to move the ankle separately of like the hip and the knee, right? We just want isolated movement at the ankle. But we can add like degrees of, or bias rather, we can add bias to different positions of the ankle, right? So if I have you in this type of position where your foot's off here, right now gravity's pulling down, right, into eversion. And so that means you have to contract your inverters to pull up, right? So you're creating bias towards inversion, so it's like an inversion ankle car. I'm gonna add an ankle weight to this. Okay. And what I'm gonna have you do is play around with a couple different variations of ankle cars that are gonna give you a little bit more tissue bias. And so what we're gonna do is have 5 pounds strapped to your foot, and I want you to go through the ankle car sequence as you typically would. And you can do that in a box like this. You can do it in a figure 4 if you want. Doesn't really matter to me. We're gonna go over eversion bias cars as well. But right now you should probably feel that if I told you to pick your ankle up and hold that, you feel this inner ankle shortening, right? You feel all this inner ankle lateral tissue, or medial tissue rather, shortening to pull yourself up. And then you can let the foot kind of drop and let it lengthen. Right now gravity's pulling down. You're lengthening the inner ankle. And you can do the full sequence and bias a different position. You could load this more with more ankle weights, but the idea is that you're just creating more specificity to your training. The other ankle might feel different, right? You might find when we do another position, it's a lot harder because it's creating different bias, right? Different line of tissue. And so we talked about in the stretches, how do you find new tissue that is untapped, right? By doing stuff like this. You add complexity to it. And so what I want you to try doing now is as you come up all the way, keep this position so you're in inversion. Now do inversion and dorsiflexion, inversion and plantar flexion. And you see how you're not letting your foot drop into eversion at any point, right? Gravity's pulling down, you're contracting up, and you feel all this stuff still firing. I'm gonna have you here just keep going. You've been going for about a minute. Let's see if you can give me another minute of just shortening all this stuff. So there isn't one way to do it, right? You're just finding contraction here. When you pull the foot up, you feel the contraction bias more to the front side. When you point the toe into plantar flexion, you feel the bias up here. Go ahead and give me another 10 seconds. Beautiful. Awesome. Point the toe now, again. Very good. Come back to me. Is that starting to get tired? Yeah, I can tell. You're starting to fail out of it. That's kind of the point though, right? I want to see the tissue being exhausted, close proximity to failure, and relax. And now if you let your foot just kind of hang here, you feel the stretch. Yeah. Now come back up and contract. Keep the leg as still as you can. You feel this tissue now shortening again. Now come back down. I kind of treat this almost like you're doing like a preacher curl, right, for your bicep, and essentially doing an inversion curl, preacher curl, right? In essence, you're pivoting your ankle on a box, on your foot, you're squeezing, stretching. Squeezing, stretching. As the foot comes down, all this tissue is pulling apart. When the foot comes up, all this tissue comes together. Give me 2 more reps there, and then we'll do a different position to kind of contrast that. And that might feel different from ankle to ankle, right? And as the ankle heals over time, this might feel like you need to focus on a different area. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so what we're gonna do is take this off. Let's change your positioning. And so what I'm thinking you're gonna do is you're gonna be more like here now, right? And now my ankle is being pulled into inversion, right? This stuff's pulling this way. And then as I pull the ankle up, this stuff is now shortening, right? It's coming together, pulling apart. Now, if you tell me my hip doesn't like this because you're in a ton of internal rotation, just let me know. We can talk about it. I can even sit you up on like a yoga block or something. But let's try to get you into it, and then we'll talk about that. Yeah, there you go. That's actually perfect. Can you manage that? Yeah. Okay, and so if you did it with a client, most clients don't have like any internal rotation. And if they got pinching or any weirdness there, then you'd have to adjust their positioning. And I'm gonna do the exact same thing where we add load. Now, if you told me the load was less productive because you're not strong enough there yet, fine. If the load makes the hip feel weird, just speak up. But in principle, it's the same thing, right? The gravity's pulling you down. You feel all this tissue lengthening when the foot goes to the floor. And then when you bring the foot up, all this tissue is now coming together. And you're using the pivot here so that your hip and knee are kind of like out of the equation. And you're essentially just loading your lateral ankle in the same way you would do like a preacher curl, the same way you do a wrist curl. You're doing the exact same thing for your ankle. And then I want you again to feel how you're in dorsiflexion eversion, and then come into plantar flexion eversion. And don't let your foot drop now, okay? So come all the way forward and keep it above my hand. And you feel this tissue shortening, and then you feel the tension kind of transfer to maybe like more of your calf, but also lateral stuff. Bring the foot all the way forward here. Awesome. And then come back to me. Let's give you like another 30 or 45 seconds of that. And just feel the different lines of tissue that contribute to eversion now. That's your only goal. And duration is the objective here, right? Minute, 2 minutes straight. If it was so heavy you couldn't do that, go lighter, right? We have lighter ankle weights that we can obviously use. This is 5 pounds for reference. I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's like a very small movement, you know what I mean? Like weight is relative. Like it's easy to lift a lot of weight on a deadlift, right? But you're not gonna lift the same weight on this. So 5 pounds seems like, you know, not much, but when it's a joint that needs rehab, that's one, right? It's a small joint. Smaller joints generally don't produce as much force. And then also, it's a small movement. I'm not asking for a lot of range of motion.
Yeah.
And now I want you to feel again the stretch component, right? This tissue is now lengthening, and then shorten it and bring it back up. Exactly. And you feel that now contracting. The same way you stretch your bicep and squeeze your bicep, you're shortening lateral ankle tissue. And now you're lengthening that lateral ankle tissue. Give me a couple more reps there. Let's say 30 seconds of just kind of exploring that space. And then afterwards, you're free to do the full ankle car if you wanted. But again, there isn't one way to do this. You have a lot of freedom within this movement. Like you have the freedom to be here and stay in plantar flexion now and try that for a moment. You see how your toe kind of wants to pull up. Don't let your toe pull up. Now point down. You see how that finds this very specific line of tissue that you otherwise wouldn't really get. And then if I told you to dorsiflex and do it, and then come down, but maintain dorsiflexion, that should feel distinctly different.
Yeah.
And there isn't one way to do it, right? It's kind of on you to feel it out, what tissue needs attention, what's weaker, what's more uncomfortable, what's tender and untrained. And that could feel different from week to week as the ankle heals and evolves. Does that make sense? So there isn't one way to do this at all.
This is definitely a range ringer that I need to explore more.
And that's totally fair. And when you do your other ankle, you might feel similar or different, right? And I want you to create that data, right? Find that data so that that can drive your training decisions moving forward.
Thank you so much for watching the Bodybuilding Not Body Breaking YouTube channel. If you found it helpful, drop a comment, like, subscribe, share it with a friend or family. That stuff really helps us in expanding our reach to popularizing this training approach because we know there just isn't a better way to do things. If you have interest in diving deeper into the stuff you just watched, feel free to join our school community. On our school community, we have a lot of additional content. We have an exercise library that has over 200 different movement options. We have programs. We have additional videos that are concepts, lectures, and rants to give you guys a deeper understanding as to how and why we do things. We also have a discussion board where you can get direct access to coaching feedback from me personally. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok for additional updates for when we post new content. Thank you again for watching, and we hope it was of use to you.